So if anyone has any questions, put them in the chat. We will go over them at the end, but just know that I personally cannot see them. But no worries, we will try to get to them at the end. Hey, so does everyone see the screen? Okay, awesome. All right, well, welcome. We are going to go over the Spanish visa process. So hopefully if you're here, that means you are planning to study abroad in Spain. My name is Tanya. I am the administrative assistant, and I will be helping students, working on getting their Spanish visa. I'm joined here with my colleague. If you want to introduce.
Hi, I'm Daniel Riley. I'm the manager of the GW study programs, and I'm within that portfolio, I manage the GW Madrid program. So anybody who's planning on going to Madrid, I'll be working with you.
Oh, okay, so this will be recorded, just FYI, and it will be shared with y'all later, so you can always refer back to it. Here is the agenda. We are going to go over the overall process, the required materials you need to get, where you can get the documents or who can provide them, the costs, the mailing personal travel information, document review recap, general turnaround, and at the end, if you can have a recap of Q&A. So just to put it out there, if you have a valid EU passport, don't have a passport at the moment, are international student or currently abroad, have international travel plans over the summer or the semester, make sure to reach out to us so we can guide you more specifically on your situation and what you can do. So make sure to reach out to either Daniel or myself. Okay, so hopefully you guys all commit to your program if you're participating in Spain. Once you are sure, then make sure you get the ball rolling on your visa. You're going to go collect all the required materials that we're going to go over just shortly. Attend one of our visa sessions or document reviews so that you can make sure all your documents are in order. Drop off the materials if you're doing the batch process, or book your own appointment if you need to do individual appointment. Submit your materials and then collect your passport. So if you're doing the batch with us, which is you submitting your application to us, and then we handing it over to BLS, which is the third party, there's that option. But if you, again, have international travel plans in the summer, or, are an international student that maybe needs to go back home, you should probably apply independently so that you can get that back before you depart. Okay, so we'll go over this, the required materials. The first thing you need to have is your, of course, passport. It needs to be valid at least 1 year after the program end date. If it's not, you are going to need to renew it before you start your visa process. It needs to have at least 2 blank pages because that's where they will affix your visa. And you need a scan of your passport in color. I put a star because I wanted to emphasize, again, if you don't have a passport or you need to renew it, to start this now so that you have it by the time you have all your documents for your visa application. The next thing is your national visa form, which is completed either electronically or handwritten. Caveat to this, BLS is very particular, so if you do fill out this form, which we will share later and you will have access to it, it needs to be written in all capital letters. The spaces are small, so we always encourage students to, type it out first, and then print it and then sign afterwards. So everything can be printed or typed in a computer except your signature. They want a wet signature. The next thing is, of course, your passport size photos. You need 2 passport size photos on a white background. Nothing needs to be covering your face, no smiling, and it needs to be taken within 6 months. It can't be on regular printer paper. So again, this is something you would maybe go to CVS, FedEx, those kind of locations to obtain this. You also need a BLS disclaimer form. That is, you're going to read it, write the place of location, date it, sign, and that's just a form that BLS requires everyone to submit when they're doing the visa application.
BLS doesn't want to be responsible if your passport gets lost somewhere along the way and you have to start the process all over again. This has never happened, but nonetheless, their lawyers have made sure that they are covering themselves.
Yes, it's just, again, a legal document. Daniel, do you want to go over through this?
Sure. So, additional required materials include proof of admission. This will be a letter certifying your participation in a study abroad program, which will be provided by your host university or host program in Spain. The letter will show your arrival and end dates and the dates that you're covered by health insurance. You'll also be required to offer proof of financial means. Um, they want to see that you are not going to be destitute while you are in Spain, and that you're going to be able to cover your expenses while you're there. What they are looking for generally is um, $700 a month. Um, so a total for the fall semester of about $2,800. And they want to see that balance covered in your last three bank statements. Um, you can just download PDFs of your bank statements and submit those. If you are, yeah, lots of people do not necessarily have that balance in their bank account, so it's totally fine to use a family member's bank statements as well. In that case, you need to present a notarized letter of support along with a copy of the passport or other ID of the person who is providing that financial support to you. Again, they would need their three most recent bank statements. It's also totally fine to combine your bank statements and their bank statements to reach that required total. Required also is a proof of health insurance. This is provided by the Office for Study Abroad. All students who study abroad through GW receive health insurance through our partners, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and we will provide that for you as part of your application.
And then again, just to reiterate, the proof of financial means is starred. Just in case you are a dependent, you should probably start looking into that and getting all the documents like that need to get notarized. Just any notarized document needs to be the original. So if you need your parent to complete that, they will need to complete it and mail the original to you. So start looking into this if it's going to be your bank statements or your parents' information. Hey. Proof of residence or study in the US. This would be a photocopy of your GWorld. Because you are a GW student, you can apply through DC, so that GWorld scan of it would be what's showing proof that you are living here. If you are applying individually in your home jurisdiction, which you can, you would provide a photocopy of your driver's license or state ID. But we ask for you to submit to us a photocopy of your driver's license or state ID and your GWorld card, just to be sure if you're doing the batch. You also will have a visa fee. So of course, there's going to be some processing fees to get your visa. It will include the visa fee to get the visa as well as the BLS service fees. So that is the handling fees that BLS will charge you. Last cycle, it was 187, but we recommend students to hold off in purchasing their money order if you're doing the badge, just because we need to confirm if there's been an increase or any like changes in the visa fee. So for now, hold off on the money order. For students who are doing individual applications, you will pay when you go to your appointment with cash or a debit card. So you'll have more up-to-date fees there. Next, you need a notarized batch processing letter. So this is the letter that is provided by us. You are going to fill it out. get it notarized by a public notary, and it just authorizes the Office for Study Abroad to handle your visa application, submit it on your behalf, and communicate with BLS in case there's any issues. So this is very much needed because this tells BLS that yes, we are authorized to handle and inquire about your visa application with them. The next is the OSA liability waiver. So similar to to BLS, GW does want us to have a waiver form that you sign in case, anything happens, which nothing has happened, but that we are not held accountable. But again, that hasn't happened, knock on wood. Okay, Daniel.
Some additional requirements. All students are required to provide a medical certificate, basically stating that you are in good health and able to participate in a semester-long study abroad program. This must be signed off on by a doctor. It cannot be a nurse or a physician's assistant. Um, this is something that which can be done at the health center here at GW, or it can be done through your home doctor. Um, you'll require an original signed document as well as a photocopy of this, and you have to use the template that they provide, which is both in Spanish and in English. And the doctors will need to sign both the Spanish portion and the English portion. You'll be required to provide proof of payment of your fees. This is something which will come from your study abroad program, saying that you do not have outstanding tuition payments which you're required to make to your host. And then you need to submit your visa form no later than 2 months before the date of your program. Um, for most of you, that will be like July. So if you're doing this independently, if it's through our office, you'll do it before you leave campus. If you are doing this independently, then that will be before usually early July. Um, I do want to say it is a really good idea if you are able to do so to go through our office for this process. Um, we had over 100 applicants that we were handling last semester, and of those, probably 25 or 30 of them had something in their application that was incomplete or not right. And because we were able reviewing all of those documents before students submitted their applications, it meant that those errors were caught ahead of time, and it really helped with the processing of the visas.
And then again, you will see there's a star next to the medical certificate. Try to get this done as soon as possible. Appointments with doctors can get booked in advance, so don't wait till the last minute because sometimes availability will not be there. Again, you need the original, so whichever um, document that your doctor signed and stamped, make sure it's the original that you have. So if you do this back home, make sure you have it or your parents mail it to you and have a copy. So you'll be presenting two. Cool. Additional requirements. So if you are doing an academic year, this would apply to you. So you would need a criminal background check. If you are just doing semester, then no worries. You do not need to worry about this. But if you're doing academic year, make sure to reach out to Daniel and myself, and we will kind of help guide you on what you need to do. Okay, so on the screen, you will see a screenshot of the visa application form. So it will look like this. It asks, your name, birthday, place of birth, that sort of information. Make sure you do not fill out anything on the right side in this column, because that is on the visas centers stuff that they need to fill out themselves. Oops. This is the background or the second page of the visa form. Again, it'll just ask you for more information. Something to keep in mind, skip number 11, that is your national identity in like Spain, so you do not have that. For the type of travel document, you will select ordinary passport. Your current occupation, which is on number 19, you're just going to put student. Even if you have a part-time job, just place student. For the time of travels, you will select number of entries requested, multiple entries. This will allow you to enter and exit the country, which is very important, especially for those who plan to travel during your study abroad. For the applicant's address in Spain, which is number 23, if your program hasn't given you an address of your housing location, you can put your center's or your program's address. So for GW Madrid Center, you would put GW Madrid's address. If you're doing Navarra or Sade, you would put that information as well. If you're doing, I don't know, IAU, IFSA, whatever locations is there in your programs, you would put. I tell students that whoever signed or signed or documented your acceptance letter, so at the very bottom, you will most likely get their center's address. So you can always check that. If you are unsure, especially for GW Madrid and exchange programs, you can reach out to Daniel or myself, and we will give you that information. You will skip 24 to 26. So there's going to be a lot of blank boxes, no worries. You'll skip 27 and you will fill out 28. Again, this will be your study center or host institution. It can be the same as number 23. Then the arrival information must match your, admissions. So expected start date of your studies research, that will be from your acceptance letter. So try to match it as possible to your acceptance letter. Skip 29, and then you're going to sign, date, and place at the bottom. So they like to know where you were, so what city you were when you signed the document. So if you're in DC, just put Washington, DC, the date, and then your signature. Again, the signature must be a wet signature, so you cannot electronically sign it. So if you complete this form on a computer, print it out, and then sign it by hand.
We understand that this is a lot of information, and you're going to receive all of these instructions in a separate email, but this is just to give you an idea of what it will look like when you're finishing it.
Yeah, you will all get access to a box folder, which will have a guide on how to complete it, as well as an example of already one completed. So no worries, as Daniel mentioned. Okay, Daniel, do you want to go through this?
Sure. So these are the critical documents that you're going to be required to present as part of your process of applying for a visa, and who provides those documentation sources of documentation. Your passport application form, passport size photos, and BLS disclaimer. Those are all things which are provided by you. For your program acceptance, that's going to come from your program or your host institution. Proof of financial means, you will receive a financial support letter from the Office for Study Abroad, as well as your financial means documentation. That's your bank statements from either yourself or your family. Health insurance proof will be coming definitely from the Office for Study Abroad. It's also possible that you'll receive additional health insurance documentation from your program if you are on a provider program. And then your local ID, that's your driver's license or state ID plus your student ID, those are your responsibility. The visa fee payment, that is your responsibility, as well as signing off on the batch processing letter, the OSA liability letter, and the medical certificate. The medical certificate, obviously, that is something which will be signed off on by a doctor, but it's your responsibility to gather that. And then finally, proof of payment that will come from your program. So if you're on GW Madrid, that will come from the GW Madrid program. If it is coming from a provider or exchange partner, they will provide that documentation for you for your visa.
Great. So, again, as we mentioned, last cycle, the visa fee was 187. For international students, it might be lower or differ just because, you're using a different passport, so different countries have different visa fees. But for the most part, if you're using a US passport, it'll be 187 around there. It is subject to change, so we will confirm with BLS to see if there were any increases on the visa fee, and we will share that information once we have that. So for now, again, hold off on purchasing your money order. For cost of shipping, so for those who are doing our batch process, it kind of varies when the visa will be ready. It's going to be summer, most likely, depending when we have our batch application. So you might have already left to go back home. We do offer a service of, mailing your passport once we retrieve it from BLS, but you will be charged on your student account the fee of how much it costs to mail it to you. Hopefully we can get it before that, before you depart, but there's that option too, or you can come back to DC and pick it up in person yourself. Where to get a money order? You can get a money order at the Western Union, MoneyGrams, and some CVS do have MoneyGrams. So this is important. This is one of the changes that happened. Again, hold off for those who are doing the batch. Don't purchase your money order yet because we need to get the most up-to-date visa fee. And also, BLS no longer accepts money orders from the US Postal Service. I don't know why, but I saw that, and that is one of the locations we used to tell students to go. So do not purchase a money order from USPS. They will not accept it, and they might reject your visa application if you do that. So if you go through our document review, that is something we'll stress again and see your money order to make sure it's not, but keep that in mind. Additional payments, again, batch visa applications, you're paying through money order or cashier's check. So you can go to a bank and get a cashier's check. No personal checks, they will not be accepted. And this is payable to Consular Outsourcing BLS Services Incorporated. Don't worry, there is a guide that will be shared with you on how to fill out the money order. For individual visa applications, they will accept payment through cash or debit card only. So because you're going in person, that's when you will pay. International student fees, again, the fees may differ just because you are using a different passport. We will check to see for those who are doing the batch for international students, how much that will be. Important travel guidance. So, because the visa application process can be tedious, but also is dependent on external factors such as the Spanish government, how busy they are, or if there's new policies, we always tell students to not make any personal travel plans while going through this process. Um, it's going to be summer, so most of y'all would want to travel, but because you are relinquishing your passport, you cannot do any international travel. If, as mentioned, you are an international student or have travel plans that you cannot change, you should definitely apply independently for your visa application as soon as possible so you can ensure that you get it back. But again, there's no guarantees. It can vary. Once you have your documents ready, you can drop them off with our grad assistant in the first floor, um, and then follow up with an email to us letting us know that you dropped them off. Again, make sure you take advantage of the review sessions that we're going to offer so that you can get them reviewed before you actually submit and we can catch any discrepancies or mistakes. So definitely take advantage of that. If you have any questions, you can always email us or schedule an appointment with myself or one of our student workers, and they can walk you through your required documents. So for now, the batch submission deadline, so the deadline you have to submit to us if you're doing the batch application process is Wednesday, April 15th. So make sure you have all your documents reviewed before then, before actually submitting them. You will submit them to our office between the hours of 9 to 5 on that day. So again, April 15th, mark it in your calendars if you're doing our batch process.
You can drop them off earlier if they are complete.
Yeah,
But
which we encourage.
after that time, we will not be able to guarantee that if you drop them off, that they'll be available for the batch processing.
Yeah. The turnaround time, it takes about a month, give or take, maybe 2 months, if depending on how busy the BLS and Spanish government is. But this is not a month from submitting to us or submitting to BLS. It's a month when the Spanish government or the Spanish consulate embassy receives it. So you could submit it in April 15, but the Spanish consulate may not receive it until, let's say, May or mid-May. So it varies depending on when BLS submits it. So April 15 is a deadline you submit to us, and then we have an appointment with BLS, the third party. So again, don't make international travel plans because we don't know when you will get it back for certain. Okay. That concludes our visa session. After today, we will send you an email with, links to the box folder, forms that you will need for your application, and the recap of any dates that you should keep in mind. So we can move this up to Q&A. Any questions you have, you can put it in the chat.